You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Good evening.
Recording in progress.
I was about to call you because I didn't see your name on the list. I didn't realize you were here, Peter.
I just tuned in. I'm having technical difficulties with both iPad and computer, so I'm on the iPhone.
Oh, it's working.
Yeah, well.
Might not be great for viewing documents, though.
Right. Plus, let's see, on the iPhone, how do I get Okay, here we go. Oh, all right. I can't see you, Jamie.
I have my video off.
Oh, okay, there we go. Thank you. How you feeling?
A little bit better.
Yeah. Did you at least have fun on the vacation?
Big old vacation, too.
Gotcha. I can't see unless I get off this screen. Do we have a quorum?
We do. Yep. So if you want to get started, we can do that.
Okay. You're all set with recording?
Yes.
All right. Good evening. My name is Peter Basserman. I'm chairman of Branford's Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission. It is July 14th, 7:02. We're going to bring the regular meeting of the Inland Wetlands Commission to order. We have a quorum, so everyone seated will participate or can participate this evening. Are we being recorded by BCTV this evening, Jamie?
Yes.
All right, so the public can view the recording of tonight's meeting on BCTV on the appropriate channel on their cable network. Let's see, we have a roll call. Let's see, I got to get participants. Let's see, Clarice Begeman.
Commissioner Begeman present.
Jessica Meinson.
Commissioner Meinson present.
Melissa Finaro.
Commissioner Finaro present.
Suzanne Boda.
Commissioner Boda present.
Melissa Papatonis.
Commissioner Papatonis present.
And did I miss any commissioner? Peter Basserman present. And then we have staff present. We have Katie Blanchette. Are you muted? I think she's muted. Okay.
She's present, but yes, she's muted.
She's muted.
Yeah,
okay.
And hi.
Got it. And Jamie Frederick.
Here.
All right. We have minutes for approval. June 9th, 2020. By the way, this meeting is being held in accordance with Public Act 22-3. So that speakers present. Whoops, I got to go back here. Speakers present will need to be conscious of when they're speaking and muting their audio when they are not participating. I got to get back to Zoom here. There we go. Okay. Minutes for approval, June 9th, 2022. We have the regular meeting minutes. They were sent out ahead of time. By the way, the agenda we are using this evening is the agenda dated July 8th, 2022. Am I correct on that, Jamie?
No, there's a revised one that was filed July 13th.
Okay. The one I got today in the mail was this one. Okay. Minutes for approval. We have the June 9th, 2022 minutes for approval.
This is Commissioner Boda. I'll make a motion to approve the June 9th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
And a second on that?
Commissioner Canaro seconds that motion.
Any further discussion on those minutes? Any corrections? All right, all in favor of adopting those minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Everybody says aye. Any abstentions? Any dissensions? Okay. So we have some applications for receipt. First up, can you, while I find the appropriate agenda, can you indicate which application we're looking at
Well,
this evening, Jamie?
before applications for receipt, we have deliberations regarding the regulation amendments.
Okay,
The commission had a public hearing at the last meeting and they wanted staff to draft up a resolution based off of some of the minor changes that were discussed. So that document has been prepared. It was emailed out to everyone a couple weeks ago and has been available online. So I can pull that up for the screen share if everyone would like, and we can take a look at it and see if it satisfies the commission's request.
This is Commissioner Boda. I have a couple of, I think, quick questions. So is the intent then that for the reg revision that this resolution would be read now in its entirety, or
I don't think that it has to be read
motion-
in its entirety. I think we just
the
have to
motion
hit
is to
the
adopt the
highlights.
resolution,
I'm sorry?
or is the motion to adopt the resolution
Yeah.
for the reg revisions?
I think the motion could be to adopt the resolution.
Yeah, that's good.
Um,
All right, so that's good. And then I just had a couple of very minor things in the resolution itself. So on page 2 of 3 in the first, whereas it has June 9th and I'm assuming that is an and connecting it to the second whereas and not a placeholder for today's date. I mean, the hearing is closed.
Correct. The hearing was
still-
closed. That's the and is part of the formatting of the whereas clauses.
Okay. All right. And then in the beginning of the resolution, in the first number 1, line 4, adopts the recitals in the foregoing whereas clauses as finding of fact. That phrase didn't mean anything to me. I don't know is it absolutely necessary? It feels like it kind of muddies the paragraph. Could it just go hereby adopts the modifications outlined below? Is there some value to this phrase, starting with the, ending with?
Jamie Frederick in the wetland agent. I just grabbed the document from the last time the commission revised the regs, which was heavily drafted with town council guidance, and I just substituted the relevant information. So that's where that language came from. If you wanted to, I think it's just referencing that based on the information provided above, the commission is looking to adopt the proposed regulations with the modifications outlined below.
Mm-hmm. This is Commissioner Boda. I suppose if it's legalese that's been reviewed by town council, I suspect that has some value. I also recognize that part of the work in going through our regulations was to provide clarity, and so I don't know, lines like this, I feel like, I don't know, they don't provide clarity. I'm not even really sure.
This is Commissioner Begamon. When it says adopts the recitals in the foregoing whereas clauses, those are the whereas clauses as findings of fact, meaning we believe those things are factual, and then it has modifications under it.
Yeah.
That's how I interpret that.
So I think basically that it's just stating the commission has reviewed and acknowledged that it's done the statutory requirements for going through the revision process, noticing, putting the publication in the paper and noticing deep and all that stuff, having the public hearing, closing the public hearing. So it's acknowledging all those things have been complied with and is saying that the commission is looking to move forward with the adoptions with the modifications outlined below.
This is Commissioner Papantonis. This is standard wording for these kind of resolutions, the whereas clauses and the now, therefore, et cetera. And Commissioner Begamon's spot on with her comment about the sentence then adopting the whereases as findings of fact based on the hearings.
Okay. All right, I think those were the couple of items. Other than that, I think we're in good shape unless anybody has anything else they want to address, that we can make a motion to adopt the resolution to adopt the reg revisions.
This is Commissioner Basswood. I guess just before we do that, the use of the term re-add when we were talking about the de minimis area, Jamie, do you think it's important to note the fact that it was in there before? I assume you did that when you used the word re-add as opposed to just adding de minimis.
Oh, is that up in the, where are you reading that?
Well,
I
right
see
when
it.
you talk, yeah, right when in the, I don't know, first whereas or.
Yeah, so I think I put re-add just to kind of put emphasis on the fact that it's not exactly new to the commission. It was in the regs before. I'm not clear on why it was removed, and the commission decided to put it back in the regulations.
Yeah, did we adjust the de minimis fee?
No, it's still $25, which is what it was previously.
Yeah, okay. I guess I didn't feel the need to have folk understand that it was in there before out in, especially since we didn't know why it was removed.
I don't know if it was intended that I used
right.
the word re-add or if it's just what popped through my head because that's how I was processing it when I was typing.
Okay. For the sake of having to come up with a different phrase than re-add at this point, I'm okay with the use of the term as it exists.
This Commissioner Papantonis, how about reinstate?
I do like that better.
Recording in progress.
Great.
Any other thoughts, comments, things that commissioners want us to touch base on?
I thought it was a quite thorough job, so. Comments, anybody has any other comments on the draft?
All This is Commissioner Boda. Are we ready to make a motion? Because I can do that and then we can, I think it's safe to say that we've spent a lot of time on the regulations themselves, revising, discussing the revisions, and then this step was to make sure that the resolution to adopt the regulations was done as cleanly and carefully and legally as possible, just to maintain a high standard for the commission and how it performs its duties. So I think if folks are okay, we can go ahead and make a motion. I'd be happy to do that.
One thing I'd like to point out before you move on to the motion is that the resolution does put forth a proposed effective date of August 12th, 2022. That's so that we can do the proper notices that are required on the end of approving the regulation revisions, and also to kind of take into effect the appeal period should anyone appeal, just so that we don't end up with applications during a period that would potentially be kind of up in the air.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then I will make a motion that we use the resolution dated July 14th to adopt the new wetland regulations. The reasons which were stated on the record during the public hearing held June 9th, 2022. And all of these proposed amendments as modified in on our documents shall be effective as of August 12th, 2022.
This is Commissioner Bassman. I will second that motion. Any further discussion on the motion?
Commissioner Papantonis, are we substituting reinstate for re-add?
I
would accept a friendly amendment to the motion to include replacing the phrase re-add to reinstitute in the resolution.
I also will accept that friendly amendment. Commissioner Basserman.
Jamie Frederick in the Wetland Agent. I'll just clarify real quick that the document was prepared for the July 14th, 2022 meeting. I don't believe the document itself actually has a date.
Oh. It's on the footnote.
Any further discussion on the motion? Are we ready to vote? Hang on, I got to get the participant list. Commissioner Papantonis?
Commissioner Papantonis, aye.
Commissioner Begeman?
Commissioner Begeman, aye.
Commissioner Meinson?
Commissioner Meinson, aye.
Let's see, Commissioner Finaro?
Commissioner Finaro, aye.
Commissioner Boda?
Commissioner Boda, aye.
Commissioner Basserman, aye. I leave anybody out? I hope not. Okay, looks like the motion carries. We have a new set of regulations. The next step, Jamie, is what?
The next step is we have to send the language to DEEP, and we have to publish it in the newspaper and then also file it in the town clerk's office, I believe on the date that it becomes effective.
Okay.
And we'll also have to do a revised application form for review by the commission based on the revised fees and such, which we'll have ready for the August meeting.
Very good. Thank you, folk. Back goes. All right. Still trying to figure out why my computer here is not cooperating. Next up on the agenda, we have some applications for receipt. And do we have Rose Hill Road still as the first one, Jamie?
Yes.
All right, we have application inland wetland 220701, 45 Rose Hill Road, the clearing for vehicle storage. Do we have anybody, by the way, for this application with us this evening?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering.
Welcome.
Thank you. Jamie, can I share the screen?
Yes, 1 minute. All right, try now.
Okay. As long as you can all see that, this is the property at 45 Rose Hill Road, right at the bend of Rose Hill Road and where Pinsky Drive kind of breaks off to the north. The property now is used by a dumpster company, and the dumpsters are stored, empty dumpsters, but dumpsters are stored pretty much in this whole cleared area all around through here. Currently, the new owner, or the potential new owner, I don't think the deal is final yet, but is Sound Auto, who has a dealership down at the end of Rose Hill Road. They would just like to store used cars here. So the dumpster component would be removed. New cars would be stored here. And what I've shown is kind of an extremely tight packed layout, but they asked how many they could feasibly store here. So that's what that was. The clearing that's referenced in the permit is a little bit along this back here and this end over here. Currently, the surface area now is gravel, dirt, stone, kind of just, it's been used for many years and not addressed. What they like to do is clean this area up with new processed stone. And we're suggesting putting French drains in on either side to help further the water back into the ground. Right now, there currently aren't any runoff problems, but while we're here, we figured now's the time to, add some more positive ways to get the water in the ground. Currently, there's a house here that is a residence, and there's a garage here that was converted into some sort of office. Those uses will stay. This property here has an encroachment. They've been using this area here, and they've spoken to this neighbor here, and they're going to work out some sort of a sale of that piece to make them more conforming. And we'll be planting some landscaping around the new fence around that part of the property. The other piece of this is that because these two properties were within the same family, they sort of shared a driveway that came up and around this and into here. So they don't want to have to reinvent the wheel and build a new driveway. There's some reciprocal easements that need to take place, and that they've agreed upon to make sure that if in the future, somebody else sells the other property, they still have access the way they always have, and that the other property still has access the way they always have. So just so everyone gets along. But that's it. That's all the activity here. It's just a little clearing, some resurfacing, and storage of used vehicles. And not, when I say used vehicles, these wouldn't be junk vehicles. These are vehicles that are waiting to go onto their display area. It's just basically a place to store them until they have room for them where their display areas are. And that's it. I guess I'll take questions. Oh, I suppose I should mention that the the wetland area in question is not on this property. It's off in this corner here. It was on that subdivision that had been approved a number of years ago in Beacon Hill. And the 100-foot wetland boundary crosses just in this corner over here. So this is, again, all upland area, but it's been highly disturbed for many years. And what I think we're doing is, by getting rid of the dumpsters, is cleaning it up some. So now I'll take questions.
Real quick, I'll just mention also that the application fee submitted at this time is based off of the 100-foot upland review area rather than the total area of disturbance. I want to inform the applicant of that. They decided to submit a fee reduction request to have the fee stay at the $660 application fee that has been submitted, then recalculating it based off of the total area of disturbance on the site. I can pull that up, and or the applicant can speak more to that if they would like.
Yeah, I guess, you know, if you hold to the letter of that fee structure, I mean, the fee would be over $2,000, and we're not disturbing any, really, very much of anything that hasn't been already disturbed for many, many years. So the 660 based on the area, the activity within the 100-foot regulated area seem to make more sense, but if the commission's not agreeable to that before the next meeting, we'll have the difference brought to the town hall.
Jim, this is Commissioner Bassman. Are these old used cars or relatively new used cars?
Relatively new used cars. Again, these are cars that are just waiting their turn on the showroom floor, so to speak.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Mr. Peretti, this is Commissioner Boda. What is the elevation difference between the corner of that lot and the wetland?
The corner of the lot and the wetland.
So
I don't know if he's gonna have that information because it's off site.
Yeah.
I do have a GIS map that might have elevations.
It does drop down there. I had.
I'm gonna steal a screen share real quick. All right, so is everyone seeing a GIS map?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the area where the car storage, and you can see the dumpster storage that historically has been used on site. This purpley pink line is the wetland delineation for the offsite wetland, and these are 1-foot contours, meaning each line is 1 foot change in elevation.
Jamie, can you zoom way in on just on that section? Thank you. It's Commissioner Boda.
Now noticing what I didn't seem to notice before is that there's also a water course. Oh wait, yeah, I'm on the wrong side. That's why I do remember that. Okay, sorry. So we're in this area over here. Distracting.
I was going to say that's new.
I've been sick for the last 2 weeks, so please forgive me.
This is Commissioner Boda. So that, I mean, that looks relatively steep from first glance. You say that the intention is to put a French drain around the edge. Can you talk a little bit more about the flow of water on the site? Given the plan?
So looking on that.
Oh, do you want the GIS map or do you want the site plan?
No, that's okay.
No, the site plan would be good. Thank you.
We can go back. Let's see. So this generally speaking, there's sort of a high point here, and it kind of, this is relatively flat in this area until you get over into that corner, and then yeah, it does get steep over in here. If I can, let's see. I'm trying to. Oh, so I'm actually showing you the wrong PDF file. So in discussions with Jamie before when we submitted this, we actually have that French drain goes around all three sides, not just the two. So let's see, stop share. And I can share this. So here is the, I'm in AutoCAD now. Here is, so we've added a fence here to keep any creeping going on. And we've also added that French drain section along this backside too, and moved everything basically to the right a little bit, so that we're basically catching as much as we can into those trenches from this area. Again, there hasn't been anything there for years, and to my knowledge, there hasn't been any complaints or issues with erosion there, but because they're going to be cleaning it up, now is the time to address it, really.
Can you zoom in on the corner by the wetland, just so that the commissioners can get a better look at the contours? It looks like the steep slope is off site for the most part.
Yeah, so this is like this area in here is like 5 to 6%, and then once you get past this corner here, this starts to drop down pretty quickly from here. So this is a 112 contour, and there's 106 spot right there. 101. That's as far as we've gone, but I believe this edge of this wetland is somewhere around 98, based on all the mapping I saw for that old subdivision. So it's about, from the edge to the corner here is about 12 feet.
Commissioner Begeman, you said resurface. What's the surface now, and what's going to happen?
It's you know, it's contractor's yard, so it's just been dirt and gravel and broken pavement and that sort of thing for a lot of years. And so what they want to do, because you know when it rains that splashes, so what they want to do is put processed stone so it's cleaner under the cars, more of a uniform surface.
This is Commissioner Boda. So this is an application for receipt. This seems like an appropriate one to take a look at. It's that I recognize that the wetland is off the property, but and it sounds like potentially, you know, it's stable as is. But I think it would be a good candidate for a site walk.
Okay.
Commissioner Basserman, you're not muted. I mean, you are muted. We can't hear you.
Who's trying to talk?
There we go. I finally solved my technology issue. Do we want to schedule the site walk now or wait until the rest of the reapplications have been reviewed?
You need to probably schedule it now, and if you have to add something to it, you can always add something.
Okay. Given the extended hours, do we want to do that during the week as opposed to the weekend this time? I see a nodding of the head.
So the next meeting is August 11th. To do, the commission oftentimes on weekdays either does the Thursday before or either Wednesday before, has also been common.
The Thursday before would be the 4th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would prefer the 4th as opposed to the 10th. Anybody have conflict with the 4th?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Boda. Could anybody do the 2nd? I'm gonna be on vacation. I'm starting the 3rd, gonna be away.
I can do the second.
Yeah, I can do the second.
I can do the 2nd.
Thanks, everybody.
Wow, everyone's so easy this evening. Nice.
At 5 p.m.?
5 p.m., 2nd of August.
Okay.
That's primary day.
That's
committed to-
primary day?
Yeah,
Spoke too soon.
I thought it was the 9th, but my phone's telling me that's primary day. Is it the 9th, the primary?
That's what I thought.
I'm gonna look it up online.
Yeah. Let's
The
keep the
first-
2nd, assuming that the primary is not the 2nd.
The 1st would work. Monday would be fine also.
Okay.
Is Monday better?
Either works for me.
Monday
Yeah,
works.
my phone lied, it's the 9th.
Okay, so are we sticking with the 2nd?
Yeah.
Stay with the 2nd. Okay, and Jamie, the agenda for the 13th, did Katie send that or did you?
I believe Katie sent it.
Yeah, I don't
It would have
have
been via email because it would have been too late to mail it.
Can you note the next application? Because I think we had more than one, correct?
Real quick before we move on, does the commission want to table the fee reduction request, or does the commission feel comfortable addressing that now? And if the commission wants to table the request, do you want to have the remainder of the fee submitted prior to the next meeting, or do you want to wait and review the, if they don't submit it prior to the next meeting, then you'd have to continue it if you don't grant the fee reduction. So I guess they would submit the full fee and then we would return anything that you might agree to reduce by. Does that make sense?
Do that one more time, Commissioner Baskin. Do that one more time, Jamie.
So the first part is the commission ready to consider the fee reduction? And if not, I was asking if they should submit the remainder of the fee prior to the next meeting. And then I kind of realized it logistically would work best if they do, in case the commission does not grant a fee reduction, because otherwise that would be considered incomplete.
Commissioner Papantonis, I'd really like to see the site before we decide about the fee reduction.
Seems reasonable. Katie, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I think I goofed and I didn't email the revised agenda. So is on me. So I apologize. That was 100% my fault.
No problem.
All right.
So I guess we're staying with the 2nd for the site walk. And regarding the fee reduction, the comment was that we wait until the next meeting to review that. And we'll have, at that point, the site walk behind us.
Okay.
Now, regarding the agenda.
I'll tell you the next one, Peter, but I also just sent you a copy of the agenda.
Oh, great.
So
Thank
the
you.
next application for receipt is IW number 220702, 9 Beechwood Road. Removal deposited in upland review area and regrading. So this application is in response to activity that happened, I want to say back in 2017, it might have been 2016. It's a new property owner and they're looking to get resolved. Well, it was a cease and correct order with planning and zoning, and a letter was issued on the inland wetland side of things, stating that either the fill needed to be removed or an application needed to be submitted either to keep the fill or remove the fill. So that's what we're, I believe, looking at now. And we have the application team present.
Okay, my name is Mark Young. I'm a land surveyor with Waldo Associates, representing representative of the current owner. What happened was, well, to start from the beginning, when the previous owner was notified of the violations, he contacted us for assistance in resolving that. We had Bob Russo flag the wetland boundary and did some topo survey of the filled area. We prepared a brief remediation plan at that time, but he never did anything with it and it never went anywhere. A couple years after that, the property was foreclosed and ownership is now with Fannie Mae. We were contacted earlier this year by Doug Ledowitz, who represents Fannie Mae, for assistance in resolving the outstanding issues. So we're addressing the wetlands violation. The fill was placed, the bottom of the fill is about 50 feet from the wetlands. So yes, it was within the review zone. The previous owner, he stated that he just wanted to level out his backyard for his kids. Well, he wasn't, apparently wasn't aware of the regulation. Anyway, here we are. Let's see, I've just, based on, we don't have an accurate pre-fill topographic survey, but using the town's GIS, we determined that about 480 cubic yards of material was placed in there. Our recommendation is that we basically leave the fill in place. A few spots were greater than 3 to 1, which is the maximum slope allowed in the zoning regulations. So our proposal is basically to pull some of the material off of the slope, working from the top. Now, of course, first we'll put in our erosion control, which is a silt fence backed up with hay bales. We use a long reach backhoe to pull the slope back to the top. Now, a lot of the fill on the slope was wood chips, and it's kind of decomposed now. But you know, we'll pull that up to the top, spread it out up on the flat area on top, and basically, you know, leave it there for, you know, if the future owners want to turn that into a lawn, they can topsoil it and seed it. But that's pretty much outside the review zone. Once we have the slope flattened out and, you know, graded evenly, we'll place a erosion control. We'll spread grass seed on the slope. Once it's to the final grade, spread grass seed, roll out C125 erosion control fabric and secure that to the ground. Then we'll plant some shrubs. We've specified, I think we have a total of 15 shrubs, 5 mountain laurels, 5 high-bush blueberries, and 5 American cranberry bush, which is a viburnum. Bob Russo reviewed this list, and he agrees that those are suitable species for this area. So once the shrubs are in, the ground is seeded, erosion control fabric is down, then probably be in the fall by the time that gets done. The grass seed will germinate. And once everything is stable, then we can remove the silt fence. I think, you know, my recommendation is to leave the hay bales there to decay on their own. You know, basically we're going to even out the slope, seed it, erosion control fabric, put in some shrubs, and let everything grow naturally. So I think this, rather than try to remove all this fill, this will have the least impact on the site. At the base of the fill, where I show the silt fence, everything beyond that is mature woods. So we're not going into that. We'll stabilize the slope, and the rest of the site will be a pretty attractive home site for a new buyer.
This is Commissioner Bassman.
Yeah.
Did you say you were going to reduce the slope to 3-to-1?
That's right. That's about what it is, most of it. There are a few spots that were slightly greater than 3-to-1 based on our topo survey. So we'll pull the material back towards the top just to flatten it out, because that's a zoning regulation. So and we'll also be presenting this to planning and zoning for a special permit, but that's a separate process. Yes, we'll pull some of the material back to the top. Again, working from the top with a long leash backhoe. And again, spread the material out, or if it's not appropriate to use on site, we'll truck it off site.
Go back to the beginning. That you're saying that fill was dumped in this area to the tune of 400 plus cubic yards.
That's right. Well, I did the best I could trying to match our new survey with the town GIS, and that's the volume I come up with.
And it's a little hard with the dash lines, et cetera, to determine.
I realize that.
The wetland is designated where on the plan?
If you can see the plan there, down towards the right-hand side, it actually crosses the rear property line about halfway out there.
Okay, and the distance from that wetland to the slope that you're looking to stabilize is what?
About 55 to 60 feet at the closest point.
That's 100 foot.
Right, and the 100-foot review zone is right around the top of the slope.
And the nature of the fill, other than the wood chips, and what else is in there?
I can't tell you that. I think it's it's mostly dirt, rocks. We'll have to determine that when we get started. The previous owner told me it was mostly dirt, but I haven't actually dug any holes. I mean, from what I've seen, the surface he covered it with mostly the wood chips, and in fact, that wasn't the worst thing he could do. I mean, it's pretty stable. I don't see any major erosion issues. The wood chips actually did stabilize the slope to some extent.
This is Commissioner Begemon. Jamie, can you share the pictures from 2016 of the fill?
So I think that these wood chips are probably the wood chips that ended up on the slope.
Right. I would expect so.
And then the pictures are taken from off-site. So this is from one of the neighbors' yards looking towards the fill area. You can see it's not very consistent with the surrounding area. Does look like there is some debris that probably would be considered unsuitable and would have to be removed. It looks like this might be some asphalt chunks. I'm not really sure though. But it does look like it's decent amount dirt and rocks. I did go out to the site. I don't remember how long ago. I think before the property changed hands to look at this when somebody else was interested in resolving the violation. And the site did seem stable at the time. And it was covered in wood chips. And so I think the way the site is wasn't an immediate concern. However, it's certainly something that has to be resolved for, any property owner that wants to utilize the property and remove.
Yes.
Commissioner Begman, this question, okay. So asphalt within 55 feet of a wetlands, any precedence on that, whether that's considered clean fill or not clean fill?
I think it would be considered not clean fill. I think it also if there's any underneath, I don't know how much the commission is concerned with that. I certainly think anything visible from the surface should be removed.
Is this a candidate for a quick site walk?
Commissioner Begman, I would think so.
This is Commissioner Boda. I agree. There was just looking at their locations relative to each other. Beechwood relative to Rose Hill. Rose Hill being on the
Opposite
western side of town, and then Beechwood being above Pine Orchard. So if we did 5 o'clock for Rose Hill, we could probably be done and get to Beechwood for 6. That seems long, but I think that the travel time is probably going to be the biggest.
I think we'd probably get there a little bit earlier. So
45.
I think recommend the applicant team to be there closer to 5:30, 5:45. But
Is that on
is there any complications on the team regarding permission to access the site?
I will make sure that it's cleared through the owner's agent. The house is not occupied, but we'll certainly make him aware of it.
All right.
One point I would like to point out, there's tall weeds there, and it's a fairly steep slope, so we can walk along the top of the slope, but I don't think you want to walk down there. I think we can see what we need to from the top of the slope.
And this is Commissioner Bassman, help me with parking for this site.
It has a very long driveway.
It's a long driveway. There's plenty of room for half a dozen cars.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, just to be clear, so there was dumping done a while ago.
Yes.
Right now, however, the claim is that there is no erosion issue. Jamie, do we agree that that is a stable site without an erosion issue?
When I was last out there, yes, which I don't recall off the top of my head when that was. It was probably a year or two ago. And then back in 2016.
I was out there this year, and the entire slope and flat area above is covered with tall weeds. So there's plenty of vegetation established.
So removal of the violation obviously is got to occur. I guess this Commissioner Bassman, I guess the question is this the work being done for mostly aesthetic reasons?
I think it's compliance with in correct order, but I'm sorry, I should let the applicant speak to
Dirk Goss with Waldo. The agent for Fannie Mae says that they have to clear all violations before they are allowed to proceed with the sales transaction.
Okay. We'll have a good look on the second. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have glasses on.
I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Boda. I just had a quick orientation question. Is it land trust property adjacent to 9 Beechwood?
There is land trust property that abuts.
Does it abut the property? I'm wondering, so Mr. Waldo said that, from his perspective, the best spot would be to view it from the top of the hill. But I think if the question is the wetland that is beneath the slope, if there is a way to access or better see that wetland, if it's land trust property, then it's not a huge deal to do some traipsing. I'm not interested in the aesthetic. I'm really, our focus is on the wetland issues. And so in order to evaluate and to get a good look, it'd be important to see the wetland.
Yeah.
Staff can take a look at whether the land trust property is accessible and if maybe that would be an alternate and or a secondary viewing location for that site.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, inland wetland 220703, 626 Leeds Island Road with a barn, I think a barn construction and some grading of the site. Jamie?
Good evening again, Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering, representing Mr. Doherty, who owns the property at 626 Leeds Island Road. Let's see. So here is the plan. This was actually 2 lots, roughly split down the middle here. They were recently combined by deed in February. There's a house here that's quite old, pre-1900, I believe. So what he wants to do here is twofold. He wants to build a barn, a package deal, kind of like a clutter farm type of thing, where it comes in sections and they put it together. Move this driveway over slightly and have it kind of blend in with the barn, keeping this little turnout area over here. And then the other piece of this is there right here. There's an appendage on the house that's like a little vestibule that's access to the basement by going down maybe 1 step, which he has had flooding in the basement more than a few times over the years. So what he'd like to do is put a little fill around his house and put a concrete step with a Bilco door, a hatch door, so that it'll be up about 4 feet, truly higher than it is now, the access. So that would give him some sort of protection from the flooding that does occur across Leeds Island Road during the bigger storm events. The barn would not have any plumbing or sewer to it, but it would have power, and the power would be coming from an existing pole and an existing meter that is on this pole currently. Again, this property was in 2 pieces before. Yeah, that's it. So this was flagged about a year ago. It's basically, we have like a sliver of inland wetlands that's above tidal wetlands. The tidal wetlands being at the CJL, and the report says that this area here above the CJL is inland wetlands. So that's the line we're holding there. This area in question that the activities occurring has always been maintained lawn, wide open. The only tree that's coming out is this one that's right up against the driveway here. This oak tree here will get protected. And that's it. Hopefully, this is minor enough where we can do an agent approval so we can keep this moving along and we could order his barn. But again, that is up to the commission.
This is Commissioner Boda. Mr. Peretti, is there any grading that needs to be done?
A little bit, because this kind of, you know, obviously the floor of the structure has to be level, and this does slope down across this way. So there'll have to be a little bit of cut on one side, a little bit of fill on the other side. And then there is the filling around the house to get rid of that low access area that's, you know, flooding problem.
Will there be enough cutting in order to meet the fill needs, or would fill need to be brought in site, or?
Good question. I think he'll need to bring a little in. Again, but most of the activity is outside of that 100. Here's the edge of the 100-foot review zone. Most of this activity is out. It's really just a piece of the barn and the trench for the power that's really within that regulated area. This fill would be, you know, common fill and new lawn up against the house.
Can you zoom in? Like, what is that hatch? What is that dotted line just to the right of the house with like a little finger that wraps around the house, or not the house? I'm sorry, the barn.
Oh, this is silt fence. The dashed line there is silt fence.
Yeah.
Well, we put it away from the driveway because they have to take that tree out.
I see. And that the jog on that one corner is for equipment to get around up if you go.
Yeah,
up
they will have to get around the barn here, and actually, Jamie asked us to. This could really be pulled in tighter. I mean, it's just a little bit, you know, sloppy line work, but we're tying in right here, and he doesn't need much fill here. This the deepest spot, I think, is only 2 feet.
This is Commissioner Basser. Mr. Pretty, is this location on Leeds Island Road between the highway and the creek, or after you get to the creek and take the turn?
This is after you get, yeah, this is heading closer to Guilford.
Guilford, okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, the Sawmill Road is behind here.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps. So
yep.
If you look at this location map, Quarry Road is just before where the split for a Sawmill is, and this property is in between.
Gotcha. And this is on the left of the road going toward Guilford, not on the Marsh side?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a yellow house kind of close to the road.
Oh, yeah.
I have a GIS map that I can show the commissioners if you would like with the aerial imagery.
Yeah.
So here's the house. The proposed barn is approximately in this area here, I believe. Wetland delineation on the neighboring property. We do not have the wetland delineation in the GIS yet for the application that was just submitted.
I guess, does any commissioner believe that this is not a candidate for agent approval?
This is Commissioner Boda. I was wondering if Jamie saw any reason why we shouldn't do an agent approval.
I think it's something that would be good for agent approval. It's not that close to the wetland. It's fairly limited disturbance. The electrical is temporary. I might have a couple. It's just realizing I might have another comment regarding the erosion control, adding erosion control along the street, just to make sure that while that area around the house is stabilizing, there's no issues with anything getting into the street and the stormwater system in the street. But I think it's things that can be cleaned up administratively if the commission's okay with that.
Sounds good.
Anybody else have concerns? if it weren't agent approval. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Purdy.
Thank you.
Now we have some enforcements. We have a notice of violation, 56 Rose Hill Road and 67 Pent Road. We have stockpiling and excavation activity at the locations. Jamie, what's new with these properties? You're muted.
Figure out where I am. So around the time that previous inland wetland assistant resigned, we received a complaint regarding some activity out at the subject properties. I wasn't able to go out and inspect, so the assistant at the time did a quick drive-by and didn't really notice anything. I was then out sick for a while. Ultimately got out to the site. There was some stockpiling, and we did have a photo submitted to the office, which I believe I'm sharing now, regarding showing some excavation activity. So I did send a letter to the property owner regarding the stockpiling and inquiring as to the excavation activity, what was happening, the extent of the activity, and things like that. The complaint was that a pipe was being installed and outletting to the water course. So I sent the notice of violation. The resident contacted me, and I got permission from the property owner to go out, talked with one of the residents regarding the activity. There was a stockpile of asphalt millings, which has been removed from the site, and or some of it's been spread within an existing driveway type area, which was okay. And there's a stockpile of stone, which I told him is okay to keep where it is for now, because it's not going to have any erosion concern, and is an area that was approved for disturbance by the commission historically. And then there was a pile of manure, which was in the wetland area, and I told him he had to move that, which he did. He moved that, and he has seeded the area and spread hay. He's placed a silt fence, but as far as I'm aware, it has not been towed in. However, Katie was out there yesterday, I believe, and stated that she didn't see any erosion issues either, which I hadn't seen when I was out there previously. I think the hay is doing the job it's not that large of an area. I think it's doing the job and holding everything in place. And then regarding the excavation activity, let me see if I can pull up the email. The enclosed photo you have attached, which is the photo we were just looking at, displays us performing routine cleaning here at our farm. This is from the property or from the resident. When the cows are eating at the station, they're producing manure along with dropping hay on the ground, which accumulates. In addition to this, the heavy rains we received cause excessive erosion, further adding to the buildup. We also spread wood chips to provide added comfort to the cows in this area during the winter months. We were cleaning up the buildup in this area, and this is something we have to perform routinely, especially if heavy rains are prevalent. So I'm going to jump over to the GIS maps real quick. The subject properties are 56 Rose Hill Road and 67 Pent Road. So the area in question, this is a 2000 aerial image. I'm going to jump down to the 2016 aerial image real quick because it's better resolution. So this is Pent Road right here. This is Rose Hill Road over here. There's this really long driveway that extends all the way down through here. This white roof structure here is the structure you were seeing in the photo. When I met with the resident out on the site, they had indicated that there was some washout from all the water coming down the driveway. They believe that when the town paved the road, something changed and they're getting more water down here. I mentioned that to the engineering department so that they can take a look and see if there are any relevant concerns regarding the town drainage. So I think that all the water coming down through this driveway is really exasperating the issue. And I mentioned that he should probably look into something to resolve that issue rather than having to come in here and dig it up all the time. So at this time, it's part of the cow pen, so it's a little bit torn up, but it's routine farm activity at this point. So I don't know if the commission has any further. I think right now the things the commission has to consider are the activity that happened, activities that are as of right, activities that are violations. If this is something that they're doing again, is that part of the farm use or is that something they need to get a permit for? And I can go back and show you some of the photos too, so that you actually can see what's going on. So let's see. If I start off with the notice of violation. So this is the pile of cow manure that I told him to move, which he did move. I didn't know it was cow manure at first. I thought it was soil. This is the pile of asphalt millings and the pile of stone. And then this is the picture we were looking at before. And this is a reduced size copy of the site plan from a 1990, I want to say 7 application to basically after the fact approve some filling of the wetland that had occurred. So this is where the millings were spread within the driveway area down here. Too many tabs.
This Commissioner Jamie, when you were just on the GIS, can you show where the manure was in the wetland on the GIS? Because the purple line is fairly far away.
Sure. So the manure was approximately, I'm gonna say, in this area here. It was by the intermittent water course, which was dry at the time of inspection. He has since relocated it. I'm not sure exactly, I can't remember exactly where. Katie, if you want to kind of chime in as to.
Yeah, so the manure pile has actually been relocated to behind the cow pen. So we're right where your cursor is, Jamie.
Yeah.
It's back there.
Okay, yeah.
And it's enclosed with a silt fence and hay bales.
I think that the pictures bridge. So this is the pile with the silt fence and the hay bales.
Yes.
So these are pictures from when Katie was out there the other day. And you can see the silt fence isn't towed in, but the hay is spread and there is some grass establishing. This is where the pile of manure was. And the intermittent water course is basically in between the fence you see and the silt fence. So it was in the wetland area and very, very close to the water course. I met out there with a representative from the health department, and I believe that their main concern was making sure that the manure was away from the wetland and water course as well. So having seen the relocation of the manure, I believe that East Shore District Health is satisfied at this time with the activity.
This is Commissioner Bassman, and Jamie, I assume, since they moved the manure pile and it looks like established an area for that manure, that we don't have any future concerns that manure is going to be deposited in any other area but that area that's been protected now? Oh, wait, we got a hand raised here. Hold on for the hand. Hold on for the hand. She's going to answer the question first.
So I think that that's something that might need some further clarification. I know that the farmer mentioned that he does use the manure as fertilizer on his fields, and he was wondering if that was going to be a problem. And I said that the commission would have to address that relative to whether that was as a right part of the agricultural use, or if he needed to discuss that with the commission.
Do I assume that, is it Lisa Muzzy that you are the property owner? You're muted.
Okay. I am the person that called to make the complaint.
Oh, okay.
I called and made the complaint on April 23rd. And I believe Jamie came out on June 9th for reasons that she was sick and out of work or whatever. But that area has since settled a little bit because of that time frame of April 23rd to June 9th. But as far as what Jamie said, I have pictures of the manure pile, and it was right along the roadway, which is right in the middle of the water course, their driveway that goes all the way through. And if you put my picture back up, I witnessed what they were doing, and they put a drainage pipe. And that's why I called, because they didn't have a, they didn't apply to put in this drainage pipe. And when you have water issues, the way to correct a water issue is to put a drainage pipe in, and they're draining it right into the water course. So because I have a well right across the street, and this water course goes through my next door neighbor and into my yard near my well, my concern is, what are they draining into that water course? I called the health department, and they directed me to Jamie. And I don't think it's been addressed as to, she said she couldn't find it, but I have the pictures that show, if you go back to that picture, it goes right down to the water course where they dredged it. And if you look at, okay, that they went all the way from the top. Well, okay, if you go back one picture, Jamie.
Go back one picture. This is the picture that was submitted to our office.
I know, but okay, so you see the Bobcat and you see the heavy equipment. It goes, it starts, I can't move the, no. Okay, so you see the white roof where the cows feed? That dredging went all the way around the corner there, past the barn, up to the road at the top of the hill. And if you see the fence post, that fence post is right along their driveway, and they dug right down to the fence post. And this is where the water course is, where that break, it goes under their driveway and into the neighbors next door. And that's where the water course is.
One second, this is Commissioner Bassman. So we discussed the manure pile and the move, and that seems to now be in a more permanent location. What I thought I heard Ms. Muzzy say is that there is, in fact, an installed drainage pipe. And Jamie, do I understand, or Katie, that we have not identified that?
I have not seen any evidence of a drainage pipe. I have not seen an outlet. I have not seen anything that discharges to the water course.
I personally saw them put it in. I don't know what more to say.
So
there has to be an entry. Right now, the water course is dry. And I also have pictures of the farmer parking his car right there on the road in his driveway, where that right on the road in front of where that cat is, the yellow machine. And he could have very well gone in there and buried that drainage until this goes away. But I'm giving you my word that I saw a drainage pipe go in there. And why else would they do all of this work and dredge all that from the top of the hill all the way to the water course? What is that activity about? It was not caused by water. It was caused by those machines.
Jamie, Commissioner Bassman, is this something that we're going to need to, get out there again and talk to the property owner about this drainage issue?
Well, so I think I've got two things that I wanted to touch base on. One is I'll just remind the commission, especially since we have some new commissioners, with violations, the burden of proof falls on the commission to say that there is a violation. So I did not see evidence of a drainage pipe. I do just want to clarify one thing because I did not understand this previously. Ms. Muzzy, are you saying that the excavation started all the way up at Rose Hill Road?
No, just around the corner from that barn area. So not at the top of Rose Hill Road. I can't see that far.
All right, I was just a little confused by your comments.
No, they would have had to rip apart the whole road to do that. It's where their bays for the large trucks that they house in the bays up at the top. So Rose Hill Road, they have a driveway that goes down, it turns in front of the bays, and then it comes down to Pent Road. But I mean, why it just doesn't, everything doesn't make sense the way you're describing it, that there's no installation of a pipe, a drainage pipe. Why would they dig that all up? Why wouldn't they be burying something? If the dirt got displaced, they would be pushing it back. There are two men standing in that trench.
So Katie Blanchett here. When I was out there yesterday and took the new photos, he had explained that, and he had sent the letter stating the fact that the reason the Bobcat was out there was to remove the excess buildup of hay, wood chips, manure, that kind of thing that builds up on that hillside and leveling it out.
Well,
I have seen
many, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Did you physically see a pipe?
I saw the pipe, yes. We were leaving and I just quickly snapped the photos. I have like 3 or 4. But I was up in my bedroom, which overlooks their property, and I saw the pipe.
Is this the pipe that you saw?
No, you can't see the pipe because this is down by the street. Those aren't pipes there in the background. Yeah. The pipe was somewhere, I couldn't catch the pipe because I was down on the road and I was leaving, going to a party. But no, leave this map up. Because that dirt, I have a picture of the dirt that supposedly was manure. And if you look at where the dirt was in my pictures, and I'll be happy to furnish you with them, you see the road that goes down where in between the wetlands, that dirt was right at wherever number 34 is, it was right there. And I have a picture of that because if you look at 35, that's the water course on the other side of the street. And you can see from the picture that you see the water course on this side of the street, and then you see the pile of manure on that side of the street, right next to the fence, not further up where you pointed out, Jamie.
So Commissioner Bassman, when did this alleged excavation take place?
It was April 23rd was the date that he did it. I called the town on April 25th, which was a Monday.
Yep.
He did it on a Saturday. And somebody came out on June 9th.
So I'll just reiterate first of all, the complaint was to zoning. Zoning contacted in the wetlands. The IW assistant went out because I was in the middle of interviews. And then the next day I was out sick for an extended period.
I actually talked to your assistant. It was her last day of work.
Yes.
And
And
so
she did go out, and I asked her to go out and let me know if it was,
she
let
said
me
she
know what
couldn't
her
see.
thoughts were. And we
She
did
couldn't
touch base on it.
This Commissioner Basserman, Jamie, have and I assume no, but did any discussion take place between you and the homeowner here regarding that pipe?
And so I did not formally reach out to the property owner until towards the end of June. And I did talk to them about the excavation activity. I enclosed the photo, and I asked them what was going on. I met with the resident on site, and his description of the activity was that they had washout from the road. So there was manure, hay, and gravel that they were trying to remove and restore the paddock area for the cow use. So I do have one other comment I want to make relative to the stockpiles. I did forget one stockpile. There is also a stockpile, I think, on 73 Pent Road, which was not part of the notice of violation that was sent. However, the resident that I talked with indicated that they were involved in that activity. And so the other thing that has happened is there was excavation of this water course on 73 Pent Road, and that material was placed adjacent to the water course. It is vegetated, it is stable. I told him for now, leave it alone. Don't do anything with it, because I think it would be more of an issue to remove it. I also told him don't do any maintenance on that drainage ditch, which is a water course, without permission from the commission. At the time of inspection, it was stable. So I don't know if there's anything more that the commission wants to do with that activity, other than to put in writing that any future maintenance of the water course requires approval from the inland wetland agency.
Hang on, Ms. Muzzy. Where's the rest of the commission on? Because it sounds like with Jamie's discussion with the resident, any time prior, there was never a discussion about a buried pipe.
I asked him if he buried a pipe, and he said no.
Okay.
And I went down. To me, the logical place based on the picture where the pipe outlet would be at the base of where the driveway is. And that is approximately where the pile of manure was, give or take a bit. And
by the road. It's right by the road.
Down by the road, they're all right. So this is where the pile of manure was. This is the driveway coming off of Rose Hill Road. So as you can see, this is where a lot of water comes down. And so I think I mentioned to the farmer, he really needs to come up with a solution to resolve the amount of water that's flowing down through here, and that activity would likely need to be reviewed by the commission and may require a permit. Let's see, I don't know if Katie's photos have it.
I'd like to address the hay that's there. It was put there so that they could cover up where they dredged it for the pipe. That's why there's hay there.
I saw it without hay there. I asked him to spread the hay.
Okay, but that was all reseeded. And as far as the 73 Pent Road, which is across the street from me, the dredging of the water course was done last fall. I did not call and complain about it because it gets nowhere. But I could have taken pictures of that too, but I just thought it's none of my business. I'm going to stay out of it. But they dredged it. They piled the dirt up. They reseeded it. And then they mow it every year right on top of the water course. And I also reported that when I reported the pipe was being put in. I reported that as well. And you didn't, you know, that whatever happened with that, I don't know, but that should have been in part of this complaint, because they're not supposed to mow the water course, and they're not supposed to reseed it, and they're not supposed to dredge it. But you chose not to follow up on that, and that was your call. But my point is that this has to do with my well. This has not just the wetlands. My well is the only water that I have. I am not afforded to city water. There's no city water down here, and I really need to have clean water. And I want to know what they're putting through that pipe into the water course that runs right along my property. And possibly I have a very shallow well. And then after it passes through my yard, it goes right into the wetlands behind me. So that was why I called, because I want clean water, and I'm sure everybody could understand that.
Yeah.
The way I understand this, however, is that we see no opening, no outlet from a pipe into the water.
He buried it. He buried it. It's dry right now. It's a dry water course right now. So he buried it. He parked his truck so that I couldn't see or take pictures of what he was doing. And the yellow digger was on the other side of him, and the bobcat was moving the manure. And like I said, I've been witnessing this for years. He's been spreading out his manure. I've had flies everywhere in my property, all over my car. When I go out to the car, there's hundreds of flies on the car. So I have the green flies. I mean, it's a real pain, and I've dealt with it for years and never complained, but my water was the priority.
So certainly I think there's a lot for the commission to look at and consider here. Again, the burden of proof is on the commission when issuing a violation. So I don't have proof that a pipe was installed. There is proof excuse me.
Hold on.
There is proof that there was excavation. So if the commission is looking for more information on that, I think that would be appropriate. However, the commission needs to stick to what we have proof on, and also the activities. So like regarding the maintenance of the water course on the additional property. So if there's further concern regarding the water course on the adjacent property, then that would be another letter to another property owner that we'd be sending out. Regarding the mowing of that property, and thank you for bringing that up, because while we're here, we should mention it. I believe that is a routine practice that they've been doing. It's a hay field and they've been mowing it. As far as filling and removal of material of a wetland, that's not permitted as of right as part of the farming use. However, I think that the hay cutting could be considered as of right, but that's for the commission to determine, because the commission determines whether an activity is as of right.
This is Commissioner Basserman. Jamie, question. When you talk about mowing as of right, the hay, is there, within the as of right context, is there a distance to a water course that you can't mow, or given the as of right?
I think it really depends on the context. So from a vantage point of so there's a single family house that predates inland wetland regulation, and they've been maintaining their wetland as lawn, and they cut it, on a weekly basis. They're allowed to still do that. It's on a case by case basis. There's no, it's
okay.
No set number, no set. It really depends on what the historical use of the property is, and how it may tie into other things as well, such as the agricultural use.
I would like to just add that where they mow, that is a private residence. It's a two-family home. It's not a part of the farm. It's a homeowner that is allowing them to cut. And yes, it's a family member, but it's not a farm status. It's just somebody's front lawn. Just like I have my water course through my yard, I couldn't do that. And I find a lot of grass since they seeded growing in my water course. So, but you know, that was like the least of it. It's my well water. I want clean well water, and I feel like I'm a nervous wreck. I have to have it tested twice a year now just to make sure that I'm having clean drinking water.
And Commissioner Bassman, Jamie East Shore was involved in this or not?
Yes, yeah. So I informed the homeowner when Abby first told me about this. I told her to inform the person that called about to talk to East Shore District Health, because certainly the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission has regulation and jurisdiction over wetlands and watercourses, which are certainly involved in a lot of these all of these activities that have occurred. However, the Inland Wetlands Commission does not have jurisdiction over drinking water and wells, but East Shore District Health does. So I told her to reach out to East Shore District Health. I reached out to East Shore District Health myself when I was really diving into this. I asked them if they were able to meet me out on site, so that way we can make sure we're all on the same page. And as I recall, the main concern that they had was that the manure was moved, and also they did not observe any pipes either.
But Jamie, you never brought the picture with you on that site.
I did bring the picture.
She told me she never saw the picture. I had to send it to her.
I showed it to her on the sidewalk, so maybe
I'm just telling you what she told me. She said, I never saw any picture of any dredging or machinery. And she said, will you send it to me so I can see it? And that way I'll understand what's going on here. But she hasn't gotten back to me yet. And this is from April 23rd.
Jamie, do you have a recommendation?
I think the commission, so I think that the main things here are, does the commission feel that more information regarding the excavation activity is needed from the property owner? And then does the commission have any guidance or statements that they want to make regarding storage of manure on the property, ability to spread manure on fields, and then mowing and or maintenance of the wetland / watercourse on the additional property, which was not a part of the initial violation. So I'll pull up a GIS map real quick too.
But while you're doing that, Jamie, this is Commissioner Bassman, wouldn't the responsibility be for the homeowner, the resident here, the farmer, to in writing tell the commission what the future activity would be regarding storage of manure on site, location, you know, how frequent, whatever. Wouldn't that responsibility to satisfy the NOV rest on the homeowner?
Right. So I guess I'm just clarifying what level of information is the commission looking for. So you want to have clarification on long-term storage on and then any information on any application of fertilizer to
me, I mean, I would assume that there are other farmers in Branford using manure in their fields. And that's not a permittable activity, correct?
What do you mean? That it would be as of right?
That's an as of right. I'm sticking
well, that's up to the commission to decide, to determine. I think it probably would fall into that category, but maybe the commission decides they need more information, particularly if the field is within a wetland area or close. I don't know.
This is Commissioner Begemon. I mean, I don't know if any of us are agricultural experts, and I don't think we're meant to be, but there are some common standard practices when farmers are trying to reduce nutrient runoff into water courses, such as leaving a 3-foot buffer between the field and the ditches. So, you know, I don't know where we go with that, all that kind of information.
Yeah. I will state real quick, sorry to cut you off, Clarice, are you done?
Okay, yeah.
I did reach out to Deep as well to see if they had any general regulations regarding this. And I heard back from them basically that they'll have to get back to me. And then I know that Amy with East Shore District Health reached out to the Department of Agriculture for best practices to be able to pass that information on to the property owner as well. So I think there is still some stuff going on, just try and make sure that best practices are being implemented as much as possible and to make the property owner and resident aware of the wetland areas on the property and some of the things that they should be considering. I think my biggest concern is the excavation activity and the extent of it. Because if it is as the resident is describing, and it's removal of manure and hay, and I can tell you, I went out there twice. I went out on June 29th and June, I'm not sure. The Friday before June 22nd. And the amount of manure that had accumulated in that location in that amount of time was significant. And I think it's because the hay feeder is in that location. So they're eating and they're doing their business, and it does pile up. So there is a need to remove it. And I don't know, maybe in the winter they don't remove it as much because it's semi-frozen. So it's more of a endeavor each spring, which is of course the wet season. So I think there might be some sort of potential to request, an outline of what their process is and how they're protecting the wetland area when they do that.
Can I be permitted to just say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I really appreciate you letting me talk. Where you see the pink lines, or I'm sorry, purple lines where the supposedly that's the line of the wetlands area. And if you could, Jamie, if you could put up that trailer that they have, it's inside the water course. The picture that you had previously.
Jamie Frederick in the Wetland Agent. So the trailer is located approximately right here. This is again the 2016 aerial. And then if we go back to 2005, you can see the trailer a little bit more clearly.
Right. And that's still currently on top of the water course.
Yeah. So
and if you show them the picture of what it looks like, you had it up earlier.
You can kind of see it in this photo right here.
Oh no, there was a better one. There was a better picture. You showed it on the side.
There's so many different things.
I mean, I don't understand why that's been allowed to sit there for years and it's rotting.
Yeah, I mean, that structure has been there at this point for.
I know, I find its pieces in the water course all the time, all the rotten metal. The rotted, I should say. That's all I want to say.
So I don't know if the commissioners have anything that they want to say regarding that as far as following up with the property owner. I do want to indicate these wetland lines are approximate. As you can see, this one goes into Pent Road, which is not the case. And then also this wetland delineation on the east side of the water course is not representative, that's where the wetland was, and there was, like I said, back in 97, some approved after the fact filling. The approval was to be the TOA slope 10 feet from the water course. It doesn't look like that TOA slope ever got pulled back the full 10 feet. Either that or the water course moved. I'm gonna guess that there's nothing in the files that indicates that actually was complied with, but there is also no violation. And that permit is now 25 years old. So expired. So I don't know that that's something at this time. I do think that, you know, as far as any debris from the site, they should be making sure that they're picking that up and making sure it's not being transported down the water course.
Are you looking at what I'm looking at? I don't think they take care of their property.
So again, this is the 2016, and then here's the 2019. You can see a lot of the storage containers have been removed from the property. However, there is still the trailer.
Yeah, they sold that business years ago.
The structure is a wooden structure, Jamie?
I'm sorry?
The structure, allegedly in the water course is a wooden structure?
I think it's a, I think it's like a construction trailer kind of structure.
Oh.
Or kind of like, yeah. And it's not, it's definitely on the fill area, and then there's a drop off, and then it's the water course. So it's immediately adjacent to the water course. And like I said, this wetland delineation on the east side of the property is not reflective of where the wetland actually is on site. It's probably closer to where the 35-foot contour is.
Is it worth getting, Commissioner Baskin, is it worth getting some updated photos of, I guess, the structure, the manure pile, and getting some information from the homeowner regarding the amount of manure that's going to be stored, what happens, you know, with the manure and its use on the property, and other information that we may need before we decide whether to go further with this NOV or not.
And this is Commissioner Begemon. Do we do site walks for NOVs?
I believe but
so we could do a site walk. I think that the thing to be cautious with there is we need permission from the property owner. The property owner has indicated he'd be happy to have the commission out to the site. The property owner also has indicated that he has a hard time speaking in front of a bunch of people. So I think that you just need to really keep in mind, if you do have a site walk, that the site walk is for orientation purposes only, and you cannot discuss the activities and any potential violations while on site. So if that's something that the commission's interested in trying to schedule, we can tentatively schedule a date, and then I can reach out and see if that's something that they're willing to do. And then that way you can see it for yourselves and not have to look at bits and pieces and try and put them together.
He was receptive to that yesterday. We did discuss that yesterday, and he was receptive to, you know, having you guys come out and see what's going on.
sounds like a plan. I mean, there's enough going on here. We've certainly done site walks for things that are less involved than this.
All right, so obviously we don't have the property owner here to help schedule a time. So if the commission wants to maybe come up with 2 times, a preferred time and a secondary time, that way hopefully one of those times will work. We can see about setting something up.
Okay.
Suggestions. I mean, It is right by Rose Hill Road. I don't know if you want to add it on to the sidewalk you already have.
I was going to say that probably makes sense even if we push out the other one in Beechwood.
Is it suggested to do Beechwood on a different day?
No, I think just move it a bit later in the evening.
Correct.
So we do three on the second?
Yeah, I think that's the suggestion at the time. Does that work for everyone if it works for the homeowner?
Yeah, what's the start time?
So we would be starting at 45 Rose Hill at 5 p.m. Then we would continue to 56 Rose Hill Road and 67 Pent Road, assuming that it works for the property owner / resident. And then we would be going to 9 Beechwood from there. So we'd probably wrap up around 6:37.
37, yeah. Okay.
Does that work for everyone?
Yes, this is
All right.
Commissioner Boda. I just want to make sure, so when we do go out to the site walk, the things that we're like, the items, the issues that have been brought up tonight are mowing in the water course, manure in the water course, the general practice, whether it's an as of right of spreading manure in the field adjacent to the water course, the excavation, the potential for a buried pipe, which is directing water, and
the structure.
Generally, so that structure, and then a question around the water coming, the storm water coming off of Pent Road or
Rose Hill Road. Rose Hill Road.
So those are the 6 different things that were that are currently
yes
at issue question. Okay.
And then I guess the trailer.
And the trailer.
The status of the trailer.
Okay. I think I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Do we want to come up with a secondary time, or do you want us to reach out to you and try and come up with an alternative time if needed?
You mean if the second doesn't work?
Yeah, if the second doesn't work.
Yeah, why don't you reach out? Because you'll have to find out from the homeowner what works for him. So
okay,
we'll wait.
All right. Anything else on that?
Comments, Ms. Muzzy. Next up, the notice of violation 46.
Oh, wait, Peter, wait.
This is Commissioner Begeman. I would just say that I respect Ms. Muzzy coming forward with her concerns, and I recognize her worries, and it isn't easy to go public with a neighbor where you think someone is in violation. So I just wanted to note that.
Well, thank you. He recently approached me and called me a lot of names, just so you know, and no longer allows me to park on the side of the road if I have a get together on his side of the road. So he has become hostile towards me. And I was going to be anonymous, but when Jamie said that without my input, she had no proof of a pipe being installed. And I also had to go public with the health department because they said they wouldn't even take my complaint unless I gave them my name and address. So now I'm a little bit, I appreciate your thoughts and thank you for that. But I'm I almost am ready to go out of here because I don't need to be attacked by 2 men. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Notice of violation 46 Wallace Road, construction of a structure.
right, Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I sent a notice of violation in response to, I got an email from somebody informing me that they thought a structure had been built either in or near a non-delineated wetland area off of 46 Wallace Road. Went by and I did see a structure. Let me see, screen share. Sent a letter and immediately got a response from the property owner. They were very apologetic. They told me that they were reviewing the regulations online and they're now very informed. So that was a pleasant surprise. So this is a picture of the structure. There's also this boat trailer that is parked. Here, let me go back. So this is the private driveway going to 46 Wallace. You can see the boat trailer, and then behind that is the structure. The intent was to build a shed on it. And I told him he either needed to potentially get a permit from the commission or remove it. So he had removed it by the time that he came in the following Monday. And this is a picture of the wetland area off to the side. So this is 46 Wallace. This is Wallace Road. This is the driveway we were looking at. The boat trailer is approximately somewhere in here, and the platform approximately here. And then this is where the platform was. So he left the concrete footings and he wanted to know if he should remove them or leave them. Wanted to know if you wanted the additional ground disturbance to take them out or if you just wanted them to stay. And if there was any additional activity that he had to do. He was also wondering if it was okay to leave his boat trailer there. He also leaves his boat in that location when he pulls it out of the water. It's winterized, so it has no fluids in it when it's being stored there. So the main questions are footings, anything else, and whether you're okay with the boat storage.
This is Commissioner Begemon. The footings are sonotubes, or are
Yes.
they? Yep. You know how deep they are?
Well, technically they should be 48 inches below the ground. Whether they are or not, I don't know.
Some effort to get them out if you're gonna get them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, anybody want to get them out? I'm okay, I think, I'm leaving them there.
I will also mention the homeowner indicated that there was a bunch of debris, both vegetative and junk, like mattresses and such, that were dumped in this area that he pulled out. So I think once he pulled it all out, he's like, good place to put my shed. And then when I started talking to him, he's like, yeah, maybe I don't need a shed. So at this point, he's not planning on moving forward with the shed. But I did give him a list of soil scientists in case, you know, he wants to know where the wetlands are or he has any other future projects. And this is the decking material. He is going to remove that from site as well. He may have, I'm not sure. He's on vacation right now, so he's not at the meeting tonight. But if it hasn't been removed, he will be removing this material.
And where's the wetland in relation to where he wants to store the boat?
So we don't have a wetland delineation, but trying to see it, like, where's my best? All right, so again, here's that driveway, and the boat is, the trailer is right about here. So, and of course I don't have the aerial on, so we can't see where the tree is. I'd say it's probably approximately right here. And this is 1 inch equals 40 feet. This is a standing water based off of our GIS. I didn't get any good shots of what I thought might be the wetland area. I think the wetland area is kind of just past where the deck is. And it does kind of wrap around to the side. He told me he believes that the previous owner stored their boat there as well. I don't know if that's factual or not, but that's what he's of the understanding of.
And it's a power, not sale, correct?
I honestly don't know because it's in the water and I didn't ask. I believe it is a power boat though.
Yeah.
But I mean, like both typically have some sort of fluid component. But to me, that looks like a motorboat trailer. It's not enough of a slant for a keel.
Right, right.
So is the commission satisfied, or is there any additional information or activity that you would like to see?
You're getting cooperation, correct?
Yeah, I mean, he just has to remove the rest of the boards, and like I said, he may have already done it. So do you just want me to follow up and make sure that happens, and then you're satisfied, or?
Yeah, and anybody have concern about the sonotubes? I mean, leave them in there. I don't know, the boat, he doesn't want to put it in the driveway, huh? Still 40 feet, you know.
I mean, the driveways might actually be closer to the wetland, honestly.
Oh, well.
I mean, if he's storing it 40 feet away from the wetland and it's not like a perilous drop off, the goal is not to protect the upland review area. The goal is to protect the wetlands. So I don't, and you know, we have projects that are within 20 feet. Like, I don't think 40 feet for storing a winterized boat is problematic.
Yeah, and it's probably preventing the garlic mustard and ivy from filling in that area. So could almost argue it's beneficial.
That'd be a stretch. Okay. Notice of violation, 32 Pet Road, storage of debris within upland review area.
All right. Notice of violation. All right, so this was in response to an emailed complaint, again, received when I was out sick. So kind of got put on the side burner. Took a drive by, it looked like there's some grass clippings and a little bit of woody debris piled up adjacent to the edge of what is probably the now wetland area. So I sent a notice of violation and I told them to remove the material. And that if they had any concerns to attend this meeting. So I got a photo of the material removed from where it was. And I did also get an email from the homeowner inquiring as to inland wetlands and how the area is beneficial to and protections and how long wetland areas are protected. So I need to get back to them, but I've been out sick. So I was going to wait until after the meeting to give them answers to those questions and also update them on the status of this because they were not able to attend tonight, I don't believe. If I'm wrong and you're here and you want to talk, raise your hand or interject.
Jamie, just Commissioner about it. What's the nature of the debris?
It was landscaping debris.
No.
So grass clippings and some woody material. So here you can see, I believe they're grass clippings that have dried out, and then woody debris. And then they sent this, no, this is the photo oriented properly. So again, you can see the woody debris and I believe grass clippings. And then this is the email from them with a photo showing that the material is not in that location anymore. I've been out of the office, so I did have Katie drive by. Katie, do you have any comments that you'd like to share with the commission?
So there's fence all along the side of the property, along the road. So it's hard to really get a good view of what's going on back by the gray fence area. but when I drove by, I did kind of notice that there's debris kind of hidden behind the bushes back here. And I don't know the extent of it because I couldn't see that well, but it did seem to be that there was some stuff kind of behind the trees here.
Where does one dispose of accumulated grass clippings?
So the best thing, in my opinion, to do is to just
leave them.
Fertilizes your lawn. Not everyone likes to do that. I did mention if they wanted to compost on their property, that to, you know, submit a location for the composting. That wasn't in the wetland, essentially something the commission could review and say, okay. And then I did also send them information on, you can bring brush to the transfer station if you're a resident and it's residential and it's less than a certain size, as long as you have a transfer station sticker, which is also your beach sticker. So I sent them.
But they don't take grass clippings.
They don't take grass clippings, no, because they're combustible. And
right.
Yeah. So I definitely have to get back to them on some of the information regarding wetlands and, you know, protected forever, essentially. And I did send them a copy of regulated activity definition, but I do need to give them some more information. So the other point of this is, since I went out there and issued the letter, I took another look at the email that was sent, / we got a secondary email indicating that this has been like an ongoing thing. They've slowly been filling in the wetland. So this is a photo that the owner sent of the current condition. They're new homeowners. They think they purchased the property last year. This is a photo that the complainee sent. Again, I think you can see the brush here. And you can see it looks like they're watering the lawn and there's a truck backed up. So I think what they're trying to show us is that there is material being dropped off. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, the complainant said that a family member uses that area, like a family member is a landscaper and uses that area to dump debris back there. And that's what it was. This was actually a still from a video that she sent me, but since I couldn't upload the video, this was the best I got.
Okay, so more to follow on this.
So quick follow-up. This is the area from 2015 when Diana went out there for an inspection with the previous property owner. And then this is a photo of it from the 2021 realtor.com listing. So you can tell that the area has already been disturbed quite a bit at this point. And that's probably when this area was seeded. It looks like the grade has been like this for a while. So I think the main concern at this point is probably making sure that if there's any other debris in there that it gets removed, and that they understand what the limitations and restrictions are with that area moving forward. Does the commission have any particular concerns or things that you would like to see happen relative to this? Do you think that it's necessary we try and arrange an on-site visit, or are you comfortable at this time with correspondence just being the way of resolving this? Because at this point, neither of us have been on the property. I asked if we could get out there, but it was like 2 days notice and they said they could not arrange that, which is understandable.
One man's opinion is Commissioner Rasmus. Let's go a little slow on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Boda. I think that staff, you can continue to work with the property owner, and if we're making forward progress, then we'll continue that way.
Okay. So I'll respond to their questions. And maybe just suggest that if there's any other material that was not pointed out in the photo, that it should similarly be removed.
Okay, we got some other business. 434 East Main, office building requests for return of the erosion control bond and another possible site walk. And I think this is a holdover from our last meeting. Anything new here, Jamie?
No, and I don't see anyone present. I did reach out to the property owner via email, I want to say before I went on vacation, which was about 2 weeks ago. And I gave him a call earlier this week and I've not heard back. So I would say we can table this and or remove it depending on what his thoughts are for the August meeting.
That sounds good, Commissioner Boda.
Okay. 290 Pine Orchard Road, modification to the permit of 210102. I guess the modification in regards artificial turf.
Yes, so a while back I was in I got an email from the engineer at first about possibly using artificial turf. I told him that we would need some specifications. And then I ended up talking with the contractor at a different site and I told him the same thing. And then I got a call from one of the neighbors stating that there was turf on the site. So I reached back out and I said, hey, what about those specs? So let's see. Turf email correspondence. I don't have these documents queued up, so I'm gonna be a little bit slower than normal, and I'm sorry. All right, so the turf that was used is Imperial Prime, and this is some of the information on it. I was working remotely today, so Katie was able to meet with the contractor out there today to take some photos. So this is the diagram of where they were putting the turf around the pool. So essentially they were, instead of putting in the patio area in a stone or concrete, they decided to do turf. And it's my understanding that there's sand underneath the turf for drainage purposes and that there's perforation every so often in the turf to make sure that the water is getting underneath the turf. And I'll bring up the photos from when Katie was out there. So here's the pool and here's the turf area. And the wetland is just below this row of plantings right here. And there is a retaining wall, which I don't.
Commissioner Beth, this is fully installed at this point.
It is fully installed at this point, so it'd be an after the fact modification approval, but I thought it was, it's not every day that you see artificial turf being used, and I thought it was important that the commission review it. So we did receive a correspondence from the neighbor regarding the fountain, which we'll get back to in a minute. And the turf essentially. Although actually it looks like it's mostly regarding the fountain. Their concerns regarding the fountain is erosion of the bank of the pond, undermining the stability of the edge of the pond, disturbance of the silt layer at the bottom of the pond, increased noise level, and lighting. And then furthermore, the artificial turf was installed, and their concern is toxic runoff and the introduction of microplastics and harmful chemicals into the ecosystem. So they're asking that the commission consider both of these things.
Commissioner Bergman, just a question. I don't see any of this in the Dropbox. Am I looking in the wrong place?
It should be in there because that's where I got all this information from. So it's under 5 other business and then 5B.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's start off. Well, so, and then the fountain, will go, I guess, to that sideways real quick. Katie went out there couple days ago and took some pictures of the fountain, and it looked bigger than what was approved back in or was considered grandfathered, I want to say in 2017. She went back out there today to inspect the turf, and the fountain looked like it used to. So it's my understanding, and Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, that they had to remove the fountain as part of the project, and they reinstalled it. And it got put on a different setting, possibly, than what it had been previously. So at least at the time of inspection today, it looked like it had previously. It sounds like it's the same fountain, and it has different settings, and hopefully they're gonna run it at the lower setting that's less disruptive to the wetlands. Do you have anything to add to that, Katie?
Nope, that about sums it up.
This is Commissioner Bassett. What is our regulation regarding fountains?
So
other than the grandfathered ones?
All it says is that it's a regulated activity. So basically, in the definition of regulated activity, around the time that this happened, the commission was revising the regulations, and the definition of regulated activity, I think, had a couple of things added, like geothermal coils, because that came up in North Branford. And then I don't know if it says fountains or if it says aerators or if it says both, but basically it now says that fountains are a regulated activity. However, that applies to anything. And if, again, kind of like mowing your lawn, if you had a wetland area that you maintained as lawn prior to wetland regulation, it's grandfathered. If you had a fountain prior to the town of Branford regulating fountains, it's grandfathered. However, if you're looking to put a new fountain into a pond, then that would be something the commission would look at. And in the letter that was sent, again, I think it's 2017, it said that if there's a different fountain, then that will be installed, like a larger fountain or something like that. And that would have to be reviewed by the commission.
Have we determined that the fountain is the grandfathered?
So let's see, screen share. This is the photo from when Katie went out today of the fountain. And let's see. You're not seeing this new photo that I just pulled up, right?
I see it.
Yeah, we see it.
Yep.
Okay. I wasn't sure because it's a different program. So you see the sideways fountain?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, but it raises a whole nother issue. It's, yeah, the fountain's the same, but I've got settings in there that can go from, 0 to 60.
Yeah. And I remember that being an issue the last time the commission was looking at this. And it was kind of interesting when Katie went out there and said it looked the same as before, because I remembered that there were different settings the last time around. And so, and I don't know, yeah, it brings up the challenge of how do you regulate it?
Yeah.
I think what I could do is I could follow up with the property owner regarding the outcome of whether or not the commission is accepting the turf, notifying them that we still need the certification from the engineer regarding the stormwater, and letting them know that, issues were raised again regarding the fountain. It seems it may have been on a higher setting. Please be aware that should the fountain cause any issues regarding things such as stability of the bank, that could be a violation. Because obviously if he's causing erosion with his fountain, then that's something that's problematic. But I don't.
Back to the turf. Have we determined from the makeup of the material that in fact we have concerns about toxicity or microplastics or whatever, or is that work still to be done?
So I did not specifically look up the turf that they gave us the specs for. I did look for some information generally regarding turf. And I found something from Connecticut State, but it was from 2010, so it's not recent. And basically their takeaway is it depends on the turf as to whether or not it would have any impact greater than a lawn, particularly a fertilized lawn. And this lawn is definitely before this activity was a prime example of a fertilized lawn. That there's generally not much of a significant difference in chemicals. However, they were not looking at microplastics. I don't think that was quite the thing in 2010 that it is now. So I don't know if the commission wants more information and or for staff to do more research on it before making a decision.
Commissioner Bass, one other thought. I mean, the fundamental issue here, though, is what constitutes a modification?
So I think, so the reason why I put it forward as a modification is because A, it's already there, and B, it is within the footprint of the approval, and it is an alternative to the impervious patio that was proposed in that area. So I think it's reasonable for the commission to consider it as a modification. That's ultimately up to the commissioners to decide if you agree with me or if you want a new permit.
So this is Commissioner Bassman, your comment on the at least improvement due to its pervious nature as opposed to the original plan, I guess they should get a plus for that.
It is larger than the area was shown to be too, though. Not like drastically larger, but the patio wasn't the entire area above the retaining wall, whereas this pretty much is. And there is stormwater. There is an infiltrator at the base of the retaining wall. I don't know that that would help at all with chemical and or microplastic.
Collection.
But there is that stormwater feature for the area above the retaining wall before it discharges to the pond. And Katie does also have some pictures if you want. Did need watering and they need to be mulched to help retain some water, and they did take out the silt fence. It might be a little bit premature. There's areas that are not stable, but there was no active erosion, and I don't think that there's enough stretch that there's really too much concern. Especially if they end up mulching around the plants, then I think that should help with that. In the slope area that is doesn't have plants, they've seeded and hayed. So, and Katie said they were watering it when she was out there. So, I think as long as we're kept appraised of what's happening, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So,
Commissioner Bagman, I think I remember I was going back in the notes that we were talking about this place a couple times. It came before the commission, and one was asking like how much impervious surface, et cetera, right? So I think that's what you're saying. Maybe there's less impervious surface now. We were talking about they had to handle the first 1 inch of runoff, et cetera. And I don't know if that pertains to this. How do we think about, what do you do when somebody totally changes something and we don't really know much about this astroturf or whatever they call it, prime something or other, and the sand under it, and what happens with the water?
the commission can ask for more information if you want. I think we just need to be clear as to what information is being requested if that's the case. And then staff can try and do some more research, but I don't have any experience with turf and water quality.
Well, the toxicity issue is something that I think many schools have looked at when they tear up their grass fields and put down synthetic fields. So there may be information regarding that. I don't know about this particular, brand of turf or whatever, and whether it's used in athletic facilities or not, or whether this is specifically designed for something like this. But the other thing is, and Commissioner Begerman brings up, I think, a valid point about how far does something have to change before it's not considered a modification and it's considered, a new permit. If you looked at the pluses and minuses, I guess the pervious surface is a plus, but the larger footprint, may be a negative, or depending on how close it gets to the wetland, et cetera. So, and what we got to be careful of is that all of a sudden we allow a modification here without maybe good logic, and the next thing you know, every time we get an application and there's a change, people are going to say it's a modification. So a little concern about making sure we have a good documentation if we are to agree that this is a modification.
Yeah, I just received in the chat a link to a turf study, which I don't know if you guys can see or not. This is the 2010 report that I was talking about that I had taken a quick look at. I only skimmed it and looked at the conclusions. I did not read the 25 pages. That was mine. Yeah, so I mean, I thought it was a good place to start as saying it might be a modification. Get it to the commission, see what you guys think. If you want a new permit for it, then I can update the permit holder and let them know that this is a new permit and that you need to submit information on, more information on the turf used and any environmental reviews that there may be on it. I just didn't want to jump to the new application.
It's Commissioner Bassett. If we didn't concern ourselves with whether it's a permit or a modification or whatever, do we think that this is a improvement to what was proposed previously from our wetlands perspective? Or is it 6 one, half a dozen the other?
I think it would be hard to say, especially since I have no knowledge of artificial turf, whether it's an improvement or not. I think it's different.
Right. I got that.
This is Commissioner Boda. I think in the absence of the application process where we have the opportunity to ask questions and have them answered prior to rendering a decision, we don't like the purpose of a lay commission is that, we have this information presented to us and then we can make the determination. And, that I think that there's more that I would like to know because I couldn't say right now whether it would be a benefit or I'm not sure that this is a modification. I'm not totally convinced that it is. And it might be for the application to make their case.
Would you suggest that they submit an application for the next meeting? That way the commission can make a decision. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter one way or the other. I'm just saying from a timeline standpoint, but it's already there. And the commission if the commission's not deciding it has to get torn up, then like right now, then there's really no issue from the timeline standpoint, I suppose. So the commission is looking for more information, and then once you receive more information, you'll make a decision as to whether a new application is required.
Commissioner Papatonis, this does not look like a modification to me. It's pretty different than what they applied for. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
And there was no communication prior to this installation that said, hey, what do you think about artificial turf?
There was, and I told them we needed information and it would have to be reviewed by the commission. And there must have been some sort of either miscommunication or misunderstanding because it got installed. But yeah, I have an email that I sent to the engineer when I was first asked. Let's see, do I have it in here? Yeah, so if I go back to this. Screen share. This is where I got the information. I think it was July 1st. June 30th, I let them know that I received an anonymous complaint. And back April 11th, I told them, to what extent would you be looking to use artificial turf, and what type of turf and underlying drainage material would they be looking to use? How would the artificial turf change drainage and runoff from the area? Submit a site plan showing the extent of where the artificial turf is proposed and drainage information relating to proposed drain change. Will the artificial turf only be placed in areas that are flat? Because at this point, I didn't know where it was going exactly. If you can get these materials submitted by Wednesday, the commission can consider the revision at their meeting this Thursday, which was back in April. If the item needs to go to the commission for consideration. Yeah, which I was gonna make it go to the commission anyway. Lead in. It kind of sounds like the commission's leaning towards it's probably a new application. So I'm thinking the best way to go forward is have them submit a new application. And if the commission decides that no, this can be a modification, we can always return their application fee. But it seems like everyone wants a new application, and I don't think that's unreasonable. It's a significant change when you look at the square footage of it. It's a new thing that the commission hasn't had a past practice of really reviewing. I think you can go either way, and it's just a matter of how you feel comfortable going forward and setting a precedence.
So this is Commissioner Boda, and I'm wondering, is it a new permit or is it just a violation? I mean, so one of the pieces of guidance that's come out of the state legal updates is you can't do an enforcement through a permit, right? Because you don't have an enforcement mechanism. But in this case, it's like they can do their new permit and then you can just sit on it and then they can do whatever they want. And if they have gone beyond the scope of the permit, then they're in violation.
All right, so you want me to issue a notice of violation telling them to either remove the turf and complete per the approved site plan or submit an application?
Yeah, because they haven't, I mean, those are really, you know, when I think about our mechanisms that we have in place, a permit is not a mechanism by which to get a remedy in terms of something having been done incorrectly. And if this was a different situation, then it would just be a violation.
All right, are you comfortable with a notice of violation? Because they were responsive when I reached out to them, rather than escalating it to a cease and correct order? Or do you want a cease and correct order issue?
I think a notice of violation is, this is Commissioner Boda, I think that given their responsiveness, a notice of violation is an appropriate starting place, and then they can come to the commission and submit their remedy, or we'll just leave it at a remedy for now, because yeah.
Okay. So so the remedy could either be removing it or submitting an application for request to leave it, essentially.
Right. And again, Commissioner Boda, they would need to come in and bring that information to the commission as to like why we would do the turf and yeah.
Any more on 290?
Does the commission have any additional concerns regarding the fountain? I mean, I think we'd be hard pressed, given the observations Katie had over the past week, to say that it's a new fountain.
Right.
Okay. This is Commissioner Boda. I think the comment that you made earlier, just in terms of, and it's separate from the notice of violation, a communication reiterating that we're aware of the fountain, that it has been there, but if it has an impact and is causing erosion, at that point, then it would rise to a wetland issue that would need to be resolved and potentially mitigated. And so they need to be mindful of what's happening as a consequence of that fountain and the settings that they select to have it on.
Okay. One more thing. So I did kind of imply to the contractor and the engineer that it could be potentially be a modification to the existing permit. Going back to the NOV, is it okay if I send them, you know, a formal letter, but maybe leave the notice of violation off and just say, you know, either the turf needs to be removed or an application submitted and give a date, or a violation will be issued? I don't want to chase them away. And a notice of violation is not a formal violation anyways to begin with. So I think unless the commission has immediate concerns.
It's been our practice to issue the NOV, no? As opposed to a letter?
It depends on the case. I think generally speaking, if it comes to the commission, yes, it's an NOV. I think the reason why I mentioned it is because I implied to them that this could possibly be a modification of the existing permit. Granted, they then went and installed it without giving me the information that I requested. So if you want to stick with the NOV, then we can stick with the NOV. Just wanted to mention sometimes you get further with honey than, so I don't know. I'm okay sending either.
Commissioner Beckman, you could always call them and tell them what happened tonight and that they're going to be getting a notice of violation, which wasn't what you expected.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, Commissioner Patrick.
All right, we'll stick with the NOV. All right. Speaking of that, though, I did say a date. Should I just give them like up until a week before the next meeting to have either the application submitted or the turf removed?
Yeah. Consistent, approach is always good.
Okay.
Finally, we had an agent approval at 85 Todd Hill Road, inland wetland 220501, the installation of an above-ground pool. That's done.
Commission reviewed that, was okay with it being approved administratively with the dewatering plan, which we've received. Katie has been out there and did the erosion control inspection. They're getting started.
And prior to adjournment, we do have, obviously, Katie hit the ground running.
Yes.
Joined us on Monday and has been quite busy. She's back to the inland wetland area. How many years was the period in between your prior assignment and this one, Katie?
11.
11 years, my God.
Yep.
I am amazed with how much she remembers, and I thank her very much. She hit the ground running immediately. She started the last week of June, and then I was on vacation the first week of July, and I've been out sick this week. So she's been thrown into the fire, and she's been handling it very well. As you've all have heard, she's been out to multiple sites, and she's been dealing with many things. So thank you very much, Katie.
Great.
No problem. I'm trying.
Yeah, well done. Anything else, folks? All right, we're out of here before 10. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
There we go. Good night.
Good night, all.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.